Welcome to Creating the Ideal Organization, a podcast from the organizational dynamics community at the University of Pennsylvania, produced to inspire purposeful leadership practice and transform organizational experience. I'm your host, Steve Hart. Today I'm speaking with Dr. Alan Barstow, Director and Senior Scholar with Organizational Dynamics. Dr. Barstow works with organizations engaged in redesign and cultural transformation processes. He sees these processes as essential for success and resilience in an environment of turbulence and complex change. If in this world it is necessary to specialize, then, following Jose E. Gasset, I wish to specialize in the construction of the whole. Dr. Barstow is currently writing a paper about transforming himself from a baby boomer to a perennial. That could be a podcast all unto itself. So welcome, Alan. It's good to see you.
Thank you, Steve.
Alan, the Organizational Dynamics program has been in existence now for many years. What do you see as being its main legacy so far?
Well, that's a good question. Even the number of years, we know it's at least 40, but it depends on when you start counting, so to speak. We've had different names and different directors. I go back to when I first started teaching in it. I think it was called the Graduate Professional Development Program, GPDP, and it changed. But it's always been a focus of, it's always been part of the School of Arts and Sciences, and yet it deals with businesses and work organizations and structures. But we've always been very clear that the arts and sciences have a lot of perspectives and frames to offer us to make sense of what happens in our work contexts. So over the years, yes, 40 years at least, I think we started with a focus on liberal education. Nancy Bauer was an early director, education teachers, and it's morphed and evolved and become a little bit more of a focus on middle and top managers in organizational structures, but not just for-profit or non-profit, government, school systems, but certainly for-profit organizations as well as not-for-profits.
So, before you came the current director, what prior connection did you have to the program?
Well, that's a long story. I'll give you the short version of that. I was doing my dissertation research in Sweden with Volvo and Saab on work teams and autonomous work groups. And it was all about social technical systems. And of course, as I do that work in a Volvo factory in Sweden in 1982 and 83, those executives and middle managers are reading Russell Ackoff, University of Pennsylvania. Yes, and so my first contact with Russ was over in Sweden in terms of his work, and we got to know each other because of that work. He was working with Per Gyllenhammar and the CEOs and the executive suite, all about the strategic plans and what Volvo should and could be doing in terms of systems and design thinking and idealized design, creating an ideal organization. And I was in the bowels of the organization on the shop floor working with work teams, autonomous work teams, that planned their own work, that structured their own day, divided the work, rotated jobs, trained new workers, all of this incorporated into the group, into the work unit. And I wanted to know what was intended. He wanted to know what was actually happening. It was a nice combination of interests, and he invited me to join the Wharton School, the Social Systems Sciences program. So I came in 86. That research was 82, 83 at Columbia University. I joined the faculty research associate position with Russ in Social Systems Sciences, S-cubed as we called it, in 86. And I didn't really know if that was going to last a year or a semester, and I've been here ever since.
Wow.
Not always full-time, but connected to Penn and certainly the work that we've done.
What a great opportunity for you, so clearly out of your dissertation stage into this kind of work.
Yeah, it was, one talks about planning one's career path. Well, serendipity is certainly
Yeah,
what's happened to
that's
me.
right.
This opportunity to come to Penn, a world-class research institute, but in a program that is a little bit out of the box, a little bit different, a little bit, in a modern language, disruptive, has a different frame of how we think about things. And so obviously I started teaching in 86 or 87 in dynamics. Love the fact that the student body, the participants, are full-time employees in companies, very rich in experience. You're not telling them what to do. They're asking questions and you're asking them questions. We've often talked about that as co-learning, that we're co-learning together, faculty and participants in the program.
Yeah, I can see why you love teaching on the program, but why did you choose to take the leadership position here?
Well, that's a good one too, because I love teaching in this, and now as the director, I've been the director since about 2013. Um, there's there's lots of people that like to teach in this, and it's because we're not teaching 101 basics and principles. We're engaged in really interesting current questions, and the faculty wants to teach, and the students come here saying, I know my job. I have my expertise and my specializations, but there's things going on I don't understand, and I want to look at those questions with other people. And so that's what's been fun about this, is learning in these contexts with others, um, teaching in the program, and then leading the program. Was all programs get reviewed, accreditation, evaluation. Are you staying current? Is everything up to speed and up to snuff? And I became director right at a time when we were engaged in that, and I thought it was a very important role because, just as I say, the faculty and students like this platform on which we learn, or on which we dance. Someone's got to make sure that platform is structurally sound, and so making sure we were staying current. We have good students coming in. We have good faculty offering course material, that it's current material. Uh, I I wanted to make sure that the platform continued because I enjoy it so much. And so I certainly didn't save the program, don't get me wrong. It's a very strong program and it always has been. But keeping it strong, evolving it, keeping it connected to the issues that people are facing in organizations, that's been the challenge, and that's an ongoing one.
Right. Well, thank you for your service in that respect. We appreciate
Thanks.
it. So I know the program has evolved, as you said, since its beginning. And as you look back now on the rich history of dynamics, I wonder what notable things stand out for you in terms of the program's design, as well as the contribution the program and its participants have made in areas of things like scholarship, organizational transformation and change, and especially the growth and development of leaders.
Well, those three things I think are all important, but I would say that we would reverse the order in talking about our impact. Organizational dynamics, first and foremost, I think helps develop leaders. People come, they're not blank slates, they've got skills and talents, but we help them craft and shape that. And we challenge their thinking, and we get them to think in not just one way of thinking, but as we call it, multi-mindedness. Develop multiple frames to look at problems, to begin to look at these things in different ways. So that's certainly one aspect. The persistence of the arts and sciences, that we're looking at organizations from arts and science perspectives, is, I think, ongoing. That it's focused on application and participation as opposed to just theory and concepts. Those are certainly important cornerstones that I think continue. And yet, as I said, we've always been a little bit of an autonomous group or an outlier group within the major research university. So yeah, we develop leaders, and yeah, those leaders come from organizations where there is change and transformation happening. And we're doing really good capstones. People are talking about their live experience and online real-time change projects. Less of it, I guess, is the scholarship and publication. And yet, some of our capstones are highly cited. They're available on Scholarly Commons through the university library system, and our faculty are publishing, and some of our graduates are certainly publishing materials in their fields. So the development of leaders definitely also strong change and transformation. Probably less of a focus on the scholarship and publication and research, and yet it's there too. We have lots of new faculty writing new books and new students publishing their work.
Right. So 40 years of great history, impact. It appears that the future of the program is extraordinarily bright. So I wonder what you think the vision for the Dynamics program over the next 3 to 5 years will be, and what do you think it will take to get there?
Steve, I really agree that it is bright, but that doesn't mean there aren't challenges too. A major research university and courses, 1C units that are high tuition cost, certainly high in value, I would argue as well, but high cost. In a world which is becoming more online, hybrid courses, distance learning, virtual reality and virtual classrooms. So price point is certainly an issue going forward, but we're adapting and adopting those methodologies. The 3-hour class on Tuesday evening, yes, that's still on our roster. We still have students and that fits well into their schedule. But for people who live in Chicago or Atlanta or Washington or New York or even King of Prussia at the other end of the Schuylkill Expressway, right, that's a hard commute. So more hybrid courses, more online work using the electronic classroom space. Also concentrated courses, three 2-day weekends, 2 3-day weekends, 1 5-day course, and certainly our travel courses where we go off to interesting places and look at issues in very intense sort of concentrated residencies, if you will. Those are some of the things that are challenging to us, but by doing that, we're drawing students from a much larger region, not just Philadelphia, not just the Mid-Atlantic region, but really all over the U.S. and certainly getting students international students from Asia and Europe and South America.
All right, so that I get all that. That's really important, and sort of that's the programmatic side of things. What about content-wise? You could argue that organizations are more challenging in the 21st century than ever been before. So what's the challenge of maintaining and sustaining the content side of organizational dynamics?
It's interesting. It isn't about knowing what the right answer is and telling people what to do.
It's still the question.
It's still figuring out what is it, formulating the questions, formulating the possibilities. As I said, dynamics. We have a platform which we all like to dance on. We all like to co-learn and study and inquire and challenge each other's thinking. Organizations are starting to do this. Productive organizations. Yes, they have to make widgets. They have to churn out cars and trucks and parts, and they have to be high quality and standard, and the 1000th unit has to be the same as the first. And they also have to innovate. They also have to challenge and question, why are we doing it this way? What else could we be doing? So this ability to sort of the tension between implementation, operation, and innovation. It's in our program, it's in all the organizations we face, and we recognize now that some of the things we've always talked about are becoming, might I say, more mainstream, disruptive patterns, looking to breaking frame, to thinking, to challenging the way things have been done. So this plays right into our strengths, I think, in terms of helping people reframe and rethink through and listen to others. However good your ideas are, you're never going to see the whole elephant, if you will. I'm going to have to talk to you, Steve, and others to see what they see, and then we can put those understandings together.
You got me very inspired, Alan. That's great. But I wonder then, given the things you've just described about what the program is about, what kind of student does well here?
It's an interesting thing. We want students to have experience, and that's always been the case.
Before they take.
Yeah, before they come. When we get a student who says, geez, I just graduated, I didn't get the job I want, so I'm going to get a master's degree, and I'm going to come to your program. And we say, no, pause. No, we want you to have experience. We want you to have tried things out, to had to reframe, to rethink, to think again, sort of design concepts. You have an idea, you have a plan, and then you try to do it, and then you have to redo it. This kind of, that's so critical. So people come to learn how to do that, but they come knowing that that's what they're looking for too. So we want students that are experienced. Yes, some of them are excellent academic records, but some of them not. And some of them, we want to give them a chance because we know they've got that seat of the pants common sense. And there's room in our program for that. Along with all that experience, well, we don't want just boomers, the 50, 60, 70-year-olds. We want the 30s and 40s and even some of the high 20s, the Generation X, the millennials. And of course, that's an issue. Communication across these intergenerations.
Yeah, great dynamic in the classroom, isn't it?
If it doesn't happen in the classroom, how are the people going to learn how to do that more effectively in their organizations? So we want to mirror that. So we do have a range, but we are looking for self-directed, self-motivated learners, not, I need this credential. No, we want people with questions. We want people, I'm thinking about this, or I've been doing this, and now I'm managing people, and I know what to do, but I'm not sure how to coach and mentor other people and for them to learn how to do it. I don't want to just tell them, I know that doesn't work, but I'm not sure what to do. So we'll explore those types of questions.
It's great. So if somebody has not already heard of the program by word of mouth or one of our students, what are ways they can get information that they need?
Yeah. Well, certainly our graduates are our best marketing channel, and they talk about the program. But other than that, yes, we have a website, obviously, Organizational Dynamics, www.organizationaldynamics.upenn. And that's there, and lots of details there. We've always thought that website should speak to prospective students, current students, faculty, and alumni and graduates. In this world, a lot of people want to specialize. No, your website should be about prospective students. Just talk. Well, wait a minute. Those people wanted to see what courses we offer, and certainly the current courses. So this question about specialization and wanting to create the whole. We want a one-stop shopping, but we want different people with different perspectives to be able to go there. And the alumni connecting, what's going on, who's new, what still exists, what's going forward, but what's changing. So there's the website. We do have information sessions about once a month, usually on a Wednesday, mid-month, for people who are in the area to come and meet some of the faculty, some of the students, certainly the program staff, myself and others, to talk about the program. But a lot of the requirements and the cost and how many courses you must take to earn your master's degree is all available online, so that's there. We do have people email us, and then we say, hey, there's somebody in your organization in our program. You should talk to them, and we can help with permission, give them access and contact information so they can talk to others.
Great.
So websites, telephone lines, emails, all of that's
word
possible.
Of mouth. Yes. And I think there's lunches, brunches, and fall and spring, and things like that people would be welcome to attend, right?
That's very right. Our brunches at the fall and spring semester are usually focused on the alumni, the current students, and the faculty renewing and getting charged up. But we are inviting prospective students, hey, come and see the community. You're joining a community. Come see what it looks like and meet people.
Well, speaking of the community, I know it's a very rich and deep one, and we have a very passionate group of folks, and we conceptualize these podcasts as a way to communicate with our community and also to draw prospective students into the program, as well as work on the content that we create in the program itself. And you and I had discussed the title for this program, and this is a working title for this first series called Creating the Ideal Organization. But I know you have some thoughts about that, and I think you have a challenge for our listeners. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, thanks, Steve. This is great. As we started thinking about this, the verbs you use, creating the ideal organization, finding, well, wait a minute. Seeking. Is it, if I just go find it, that means it's already going to be built? No, you have to build this. So what are the verbs? And you could even get into the prepositions, I suppose, too. But language is important. And we have an idea, and we're calling it this, but we want to check on that. Does this make sense to you? What makes sense to you? We would invite listeners and participants and anyone who's got an opinion to share. Your thoughts about that. What is the best frame and way to think about this podcast series? What language should we be using? It's not etched in stone. We know it needs to change and probably evolve over time. And we have some awareness of sensitivities, pluses and minuses, but you have, in the listening audience, have that as well too. So we would invite you to participate with your questions and give us some advice on naming the program, so to speak, and things that we should include. Obviously, Steve's got I think a whole roster of people that will be speaking. Former students, graduates, faculty members, outsiders, guest speakers. You may have some ideas. You may have some great people that you would like us to connect with in terms of this podcast series. We're all ears. We'd love to hear your suggestions.
So what's the best way they could signal these changes?
Well, they can certainly email me personally. I've got my direct information out there. I suppose, Steve, you can give them your email.
I'm open, yeah. People have my information. I'm happy to have that. It would be great to have that engagement of the community. It's sort of in the true organizational dynamics fashion, right? To cast it out to the community.
Yeah, and there's clearly both a telephone number and an information links on our website. Put any questions there. Tell us what it's about, and we'll make sure to include it and get back to you.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for being here today. It's been a great conversation. Got us off to a wonderful start for this whole podcast series. Thanks very much, Alan.
Thanks, Steve.